show. We are now joined by former Pro Bowl linebacker and all-around funny guy.
This is like the 3 to 11 shifted.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, man, the weather out there ain't good on the juice and berries.
It's so good on the juice and the berries, Bart. Look at you.
Man,
It's what now?
It's so terrible when I say it.
Yep.
You guys say it, but when I talk juice and berries.
You all go with the juice and berries.
You're going to make me choke, Jenna.
What did I do?
Talk.
Anyway, let's talk some Odell in a little bit. First, you got some Twins and Yankees. You got Luis Ariz tagging third base on the grounder from Edwin Encarnacion. Fires to second to start the 5-4-3 triple play.
I tell you what, man, CeCe was serving up meatballs yesterday, man. That was a great offensive game. It was good for baseball.
Cleveland, Toronto, Jason Kipnis with an incredible leaping catch, and that ends the ball game.
Oh, look at that.
No false steps from the second baseman there. That's the only reason why he gets there, Nick.
One false step and it drops a little
Oh, man,
single.
absolutely. Typically, you make that little false step forward. No.
Here we go, Drew League action. UCLA Bruin, Sharif O'Neal.
Welcome back, baby.
Nasty reverse dunk.
This is one of the things I missed the most about my brief time in LA, was just being able to, during the summer, roll over to the Drew League and watch some great basketball.
It's so
Didn't
good
know it was going to show up.
Man, after the surgery.
Absolutely.
Crazy. What about Hollywood Hills?
Well, you live in the Hollywood Hills. I did not. I just come and hang out with you.
Nick lived on a mattress. Bart, let's talk some Odell. In a GQ cover story that came out yesterday, Beckham revealed, among other things, that he had grown so unhappy with football while with the New York Giants that he considered retirement 2 seasons ago. He also talked about his emotional state upon hearing he'd been traded to Cleveland, saying, "I felt disrespected, like after everything I've done for them. This is me being honest. This team has not been good for the last 6 years. I felt disrespected because I felt like I was the main reason to keeping that brand alive. They were getting primetime games still as a 5-11 team. Why? Because people want to see the show. You want to see me play."
Trizzle.
Bart, Trizzle, what was your reaction to that?
I mean, I can understand what he's saying. I understand that the Giants is a brand, but Odell Beckham is a star. And people want to see the stars. Everybody gets a Monday night football game, maybe a Sunday night football game. When you talk about the extra games, you know, the games where you wonder, like, why are we watching the Giants? It's because Odell Beckham could always do something special. The same reason why people are going to tune in now to watch Saquon Barkley, because he's one of those talents that brings in the casual fan. Now, being disrespected is the fact that, you know, they lied to him. And it wasn't Odell's fault that he's not with the Cleveland Browns. It's Eli Manning's. It's Gettleman's. I'm sorry, with the Giants. It's Gettleman. It's Shermer. It's the offensive line. It's the defensive line. Because when you pay a receiver $95 million, you do that as a finishing piece, a finishing move, saying that, hey, we're not far away. You take a running back #2 overall because you feel like we're close. Now, they started off 1-7. That let them know that they wasn't close. So now really what happens is Odell's timeline, as far as his prime, doesn't match up when the Giants are going to be relevant anymore. That's why you get rid of Landon Collins. That's why you get rid of Olivier Vernon, because they're admitting that they're rebuilding and reloading. So you had to get Odell out of there, you know, because Eli Manning, even though on a bad year, he had over 1,000 yards receiving. So he's done everything right, but they didn't put the pieces around him to support him. And Eli Manning they should have moved on from Eli Manning a couple years ago.
You know, the respect thing is difficult because it's always hard to justify what a person thinks is disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like you go into a restaurant, someone says something, someone's like, that's disrespectful. It depends on what measure that person thinks disrespect. To me, Odell was hurt, all right? Girl dropped him right before the prom. He was hurt. So now he's going back over to revisionist history as if, remember when I took you out to dinner? Remember when I did this? Remember when I did? Well, the New York Football Giants, they won a number of titles without you.
Right.
You didn't bring a title there. Now, Michael Strahan, that last year, man, if they would have traded him, that would have been disrespectful. Eli Manning, if they were awful during the regular season, they went on that playoff run, if they would have traded him, that would have been disrespectful. But Odell showed the ownership that this guy, I can't trust him. And Odell did some things that the Giants ownership thought was disrespectful. That's why they were open. Gettleman, from the time he came to New York, he has never been in love with OBJ. He's not the type of person he would have on his roster. No. When he was in Carolina, He'll say that he was all for Cam Newton getting an extension, but I talked to some people behind the scenes. No, he wasn't. Josh Norman was not getting an extension with the Carolina Panthers.
Shipped out Steve Smith, right?
Steve Smith ended his career there with Carolina. He wanted to retire as a Carolina Panther. They were not going to give Steve any more money, and there was some struggle inside the organization. So with Odell, he let the door be open because he disrespected the ownership. The ownership was going through, how many press conferences they had to have? Well, I talked to Odell.
Yeah.
I talked to him. I talked to him, and he said everything's going to be okay. When you're in pro sports, man, there's an obligation to live up to that leadership for what they gave him. So, to me, Odell was guilty, and then the Giants and Gettleman, once they hired Gettleman, he wasn't going to be a New York Giant, and Odell knew that, and we've talked about it.
Go ahead.
No, but see, like, Odell's the only proven commodity here, right? Gettleman's not proven. Shermer's not proven. Odell's putting up numbers every day. Right? Gettleman hasn't been the best general manager, and he's on the clock. We're trying to figure out if he's going to even be here. If this Daniel Jones thing doesn't match up, because he sold us that this team was ready to win. This team was ready to win.
So here's the thing.
LT was a distraction too every day of the week.
All of these things can be true. And this is the struggle for Odell and for the Giants. Is both parties, if they were being honest with themselves, would recognize that it was, you hope to once every 10 years draft a guy at that spot like Odell. And if you're a receiver, you hope that maybe I can go to a glam franchise in a huge market when I can be a star. Like, it's synced up. And they are both in different ways to blame for the reason that it went bad at the end. Odell can say to himself, or to me or to Chris, anyone, man, what more could I do? Look at my numbers. Look at my production. Look at what my teammates say about me. And all that can be true. And the Giants can say, well, what more could we have done? We gave him his money. We let him, you know, when he said he was injured, we didn't rush him back. We did all these things. Okay, both those things are true. What's also true is what Odell could have done is have more awareness of the weight his words carry and know when he sat down for that interview with Josina Anderson and a high out his mind Lil Wayne, she's going to ask me about Eli. What should my answer be? She's going to ask me, am I happy in New York? What should my answer be? And what the Giants could have done is recognize, listen, we have made a decision for one reason or another to be endlessly loyal to Eli Manning. That puts more of an imposition of everyone on our roster, on Odell, on our star receiver. So maybe we need to massage this better than we did. And Gettleman and Shermer maybe should have been more honest with Odell. All parties are to blame for Odell now being in Cleveland. The problem is nobody wants to take any of the blame. Odell, as much as I like him personally, has not said, I should have done this better. And aside from I should have played better in the playoff game. And he should. And the Giants shouldn't have come out and lied and said we didn't sign him to trade him. And they shouldn't be lying to their fans acting like, no, Eli's still a great quarterback, but by the way, we drafted this Daniel Jones kid. No one's telling the truth here.
Right.
And so, like, that's how you get to this spot.
And, Cece, you know the Mara family pretty well, and you know that they have, much like the Steinbrenners had with the Yankees, they had a certain level of expectation on that team. And when you get called into the principal's office, if you called into John Mara's office, and he sits down and he says, we expect you to maybe not do some of the antics or some of the, it's just sort of, right. We have a different level of expectation here. It's a standard that we, I think there's a little bit of that on top of his words, on top of him speaking maybe out of turn about what he thought about the organization. So I think there is some fault that you can lay at the heels of Odell.
But see, when you talk about like Odell and as far as his distractions, was it more distracting? I know I'm not putting him in the same breath as LT.
Please don't.
But nothing he did was a fireable offense in my opinion. Now, we've all been fired. Now, you're a great player, so you probably decided to walk away, but I got fired too. And I got fired by Isaac, somebody that didn't know me. Like the fact that, listen, it's a business. I understand you have to move on sometimes, but it's sometimes how you do it. And I will feel disrespected too if a coach that was only there for 1 year that really I didn't mesh with sent me a text. Don't even bother, bro. Because don't act like you didn't know that I was getting out of there, that you guys had traded me. It's ways about doing things. It's a way about being a man. If you feel like you need to move on from me, Call me, call my agent, tell me face to face. But a lot of these guys are being cowards. Don't tweet me like we some fling we had before and break up with me over Twitter. That's what new people do. You're supposed to be from the old school, be a professional, be a man.
Well, I don't expect the general manager to have the same type of the thing that we have. I don't expect him to be tough. I don't expect the coach to eyeball me.
But this is about being professional,
and this is the thing. Well, this is the thing, too. The New York Football Giants, they know they made a mistake with LT, man. They know they made a mistake. As good as he was, they know they made a mistake because they didn't help him. And they were not going to allow another star to potentially alter their career or hold the organization hostage. So they felt responsible. If he's not going to do what we asked him to do, and then you mentioned it earlier, their window to win is not open right now. It was in their best interest to trade him. Odell should be happy today. That interview should have been about being happy because he's in a better spot and his best football is yet to be played.
All right, Bart, stick around. Take a break. Coming up, are the Dallas Cowboys playoff hopes doomed if they can't get a deal done with Zeke? Next on First